I've always wanted a Tacoma. Always wanted to get a newer vehicle. I only got my 1981 pickup because it was actually a customer who abandoned it at our shop. It's kind of a lengthy story. The guy didn't want to pay the bill, and he threatened all this crap and never came back. He said he'd come back with his lawyer, and he never did. It was a big mess. His kid, long story. So we did like a lien sale on my old truck, and I was able to get it for really cheap. And that's how I acquired my 1981 pickup. But when this third gen Tacoma came out, I remember it was in January of 2015, and I saw the blue four-door Tacoma from the North American Auto Show. Beautiful. I saw a photo of it online. Dude, that truck just like stole my heart. It was just a great looking truck. The body lines, I thought Toyota just did an amazing job. Everyone complained about the grill, like that was one of the first things everyone always changed. And my TRD Sport came with like a chrome grill, which I took off, did the same thing. I put on just an SR. I think an SR5 is like a gray, but this one's a black, so I think it's just off an SR grill. I was like, I think that was the first mod I did, was I changed the grill. My Tacoma's a 2016. It was made in April of 2016, but I ordered it in August of 2015 from a dealership in Fresno. And I didn't find out, so I ordered a TRD Pro Access Cab V6, and then we didn't find, that was in August. It wasn't until October that the dealer told me Toyota doesn't even make that. They only make a TRD Pro with the V6 if it's a four-door. They don't even make an Access Cab TRD Pro V6 back then. So ended up going through 7 different dealers, a total of 8 dealers, until I finally found one. My friend Chris King and Hardy Tadlock is the gentleman that I bought it from Toyota of Dallas. So my wife and I loaded up in an airplane and flew out to Texas, finally to find someone who would build me a Tacoma. We later found out that from August until January, all Toyota was doing was just allocating automatic orders. So according to the system, the very first stick shift didn't get built in San Antonio plant until like late January of 2016. So that was, what, 5 months that Toyota was only just making automatic. So no wonder no one could even find me a stick shift, a manual. And I just had to have a manual. I can't rock crawl with an auto. That's not in my blood. So the truck's come a long way since I got it. Drove it around stock with the 31.9-inch tires. I remember getting high-centered on the exhaust that crosses under by the crossmember, and I was all freaked out, and I pulled out the bottle jack, and that was my first wheeling trip at Bald Mountain, and I bottle jacked up the truck. So it's come a long ways. It now has triple transfer cases. It's got 48 forward gears and 8 reverse gears thanks to the 8-speed transmission. I keep forgetting the number, transfer case. I keep forgetting the number, but it's somewhere around like a 27 or 28 to 1 transfer case. So having 8 different speeds allows me to show all the different gear ratios that you might find in these sort of drivetrain products. And I can show stock ratios, slow ratio, super slow, or really, really slow, and that's a 580 to 1. So it's really slow, a lot of control, a lot of torque, no more bouncing, super easy to drive. For the tires, I had 33s, was my first mod. Those were BFG All-Terrains. And to be honest, I would have kept it at All-Terrains. It was actually really comfortable with 33s. Drove great because it's my daily driver, so it did good in town, was comfortable on the highway. But wanting to get products tested more, that's when I stepped up to 37s. And then I just found 37s, I was still just dragging the truck on the trail. It's just, the truck's a lot taller compared to my old truck, my 1981, when it's got 37s. When this was on 37s, there was a 9-inch difference between the rock slider's height, but both trucks are on 37s. So that just shows oh, and sorry, both trucks clear into my garage. So they're approximately the same height, yet the Tacoma is approximately 9 inches lower on the frame, despite running both 37-inch tires. So that just shows, well, the Tacoma's got more headroom, the body's taller, it's more spacious, and you suffer, the suffer for that is just dragging the frame sits down low, the crossmember hangs down low, you just drag it all over rock. So talking to RCV to get some good quality shafts, they warranty up to size 40, so I'm like, let's do 40s. I've never owned 40s before, so 40s went on the truck, and then ever since then it was breaking parts and finding what needs to be fixed and what just impossible to run 40s, like who's rock crawling 40s with IFS. So that was the next thing I had to do, was to strengthen up the IFS and the steering rack, obviously. So I broke a tie rod when I had 37s, Got hung up in the rear, had both lockers on, heading uphill, bypassing the little sluice at Rubicon. And it was actually right after my buddy Nate Hayashi broke his tie rod on a V8 4Runner, a 2006 4Runner. He was trying to climb a ledge on granite and bink, broke one of them. And I had spares, but we couldn't get the spare to fit. It ended up being the 4Runner uses like a 15mm thread, but the Tacoma uses a 14mm thread, and they were so close. It wants to start, but it wouldn't go, and we thought the threads were bad, and we spent all this time. And then we loaded up in my truck to go back into town. I could still see his 4Runner when I was leaving, and I broke my tie rod. So 2 tie rods back to back within 100 feet apart from each other, and that was just with 37s. And I was lucky. I ran Rubicon one time without breaking any tie rods with 37s, which is like a miracle. I wasn't even thinking about it. I'm so new to IFS. So obviously with 40s, it's just impossible. The size difference of a 40 to a 37, you know, when you go from a 35 up to a 37, it's a pretty good jump, but 37 to a 40, it's 3 inches. It's more than a 35 to a 37. When you put a 37 next to a 40, it almost looks like it's like a 33. It's a big tire. And so these tires and wheels alone weigh 144 pounds per assembly. They're very heavy, and so components have to be very strong. So the front end's got a very strong heavy-duty IFS that's designed just for rock crawling, and that's done by moving the axle forward for more tire clearance behind the tire, so you don't have to clearance the cab or the frame as much. And it gives you that better approach angle, so when you approach a real sharp object, the tire's going to contact the object before the body, so you can start climbing. And then it's got double shear ball joints, which are horizontal rather than vertical ball joints, so it's got a lot more articulation. It's got infinite articulation. The only limit's an axle shaft. So as for gearing, it's got 529 ring and pinions, front and rear. I actually need a slightly higher ratio to run the 40s. I calculated it once. I need like a 5.84, I forgot what it was. So RPMs are a little bit lower than they probably should be, but it pulls great, does good on the highway. Cruise control, actually coming here through Arizona and Utah, speed limit's 80. So I just set the cruise control at 80, and you don't even have to hold the wheel. Drives great on the road despite having the 40s. So 40s and 529s don't do such a bad job with the V6. And for lockers, it's got AirB air lockers, front and rear. I've never had any problems with them. They engage, they disengage whenever I need them. And then on the topic of air, I've actually got a pretty cool onboard air system where I'm using 3. It's a single high output plus AirB's twin compressor mounted under the bed, so 3 of their blue compressor motors. And I've got air trucks plumbed to all 4 corners, and so when I air up my tires, I just take like about a 4-foot line of air hose. I've got 4 of them. And so I've got air chucks inside each wheel well, plug each line to there, straight to the tire, and then I air up all 4 tires simultaneously. And it only takes around 8 minutes to go from 4 PSI up to 32 PSI in about 8 minutes, is what I remember calculating it when I first did it. So it's pretty efficient with those 3 compressors. I would love to do a belt drive air compressor like a York or the RV2 Chrysler. There's just no room having a V6. I'm not really a V6, I'm more of a 4-cylinder guy, but these trucks are just so big and heavy, it just made sense to order it with the V6. But then there's just no room to really put accessories under the hood. So now that I've got all air at all 4 corners, the next natural thing was to do what I had dreamed of doing to my old truck but never got done, and that is a 2-way forced articulation system using 2-way pneumatic air cylinders. And so I've got a 14-inch air rams in the back and 8-inch rams in the front, and I can force the truck to rise about 4 inches in the front, and I believe it's around 7 inches in the rear, or come down 6 or so inches. It doesn't quite do the whole 14 in the rear because the coil gets so tight, and then down like 4 to 5 in the front. Yeah, it's like airbags, except I can pull it down. So I can stand a side up, suck the other side down, suck the rear up, rear down, front up. And out here in Moab, it's been a blessing having the system. Any off-camber thing, you just adjust the truck's position on the rock, and it just makes everything out here so much easier. So what's next for the truck is I've actually made it to a part in my opinion with the direction that I've taken the truck where I feel I'm 90% complete with the truck. My old 81, I didn't really get this far along. I feel right now I'm more progressed than I ever have been. You know, we always say a truck's never really finished, but I feel I've got the truck pretty much where I want it now. The only thing I'd like to do is get a wider rear axle. I like keeping the stock Toyota rear end because it's been a lot of fun when people say, wow, how are you running 40s? Oh, aren't you blowing up everything? But this is a completely stock rear end with stock axles. They're not even chromoly rear axles. Toyota really did a good job with the 8.75. It's a lot stronger than the older rear ends. But I need to get a bit more width to match the increase of the long travel setup in the front. So I'm probably thinking about doing about a 5 or maybe 6 inch wider rear end. And then other than that, a skid plate system that'll cover up the front skid and go under like a full belly skid plate is a product something I've been thinking about doing for a while, and I've actually got a real novel idea that's currently patent pending. So I'm going to be working on that this summer and hoping to get that out here probably in fall. So I think with those done, finally got a winch on. I've got this friend named Nate Pickle who thinks all vehicles should have winches, and finally put one on, and the first thing he told me was, "Cool, Mike, you can now wheel with me." So that was awesome. That was a good moment getting the winch put on. I've never owned a winch out of all my years of wheeling. So the truck's just come along really good. I feel I've really checked off a lot of the boxes that I've always wanted to have in a off-road vehicle, and excited for the year with all the trails opening up and being able to get out and use all these things I've been working hard on.